She brought a cherry pie to sell her father's dying business, to a man everyone feared. But one forgotten file changed everything. And what happened next didn't start with a contract. It started with that pie. It was raining so hard the pavement looked like a broken mirror. And there she was. Soaked blue raincoat, old boots from Marshall's, arms wrapped tight around a cardboard box like it held a heart ready to fall apart. Taryn Raines had done this walk 1,000 times, but never like this. Inside the box, a cherry pie, homemade, still warm, a tradition, her mother's tradition. Before you drop the truth on people, feed them. She pushed open the door to Marble Ink, her father's old print shop. The smell of toner, paper, and slow death hit her like a sigh. Only 3 people were left on payroll. Rick, the pressman with permanent ink on his hands and a chip on his shoulder. Nancy, the 64-year-old accountant who never upgraded from Windows XP. And Jamal, the intern who still believed in business cards. They were waiting. She placed the pie on the center table right next to a stack of unpaid invoices. Rick didn't blink. "So, we sellin'?" he asked flatly. Taryn didn't answer. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the box. The pie inside shifted slightly like it could feel the weight of the question. She looked up. 3 pairs of eyes burned through her, accusing, tired, scared. "I met with Blake Gould." Silence. Even the fluorescent light buzzed quieter. Gould. The name fell like a guillotine. Blake Gould, the man who'd bought up every mom-and-pop shop in the Tri-County area. Bookstores, laundromats, delis, theaters. All gone. Replaced by cold, efficient little boxes with self-serve kiosks and no soul. Gould didn't compete. He consumed. Rick stood up. "You gave him the shop?" Taryn shook her head, slowly, carefully. "Not gave. Sold, under one condition." Nancy laughed, but it wasn't a laugh. It was a bark wrapped in disbelief. "You think that man keeps promises?" He shut down main copy and rehired no one. Not even Eric, and Eric started that place in his garage. Taryn's voice barely came out. "He said we could stay, if I signed... now." The cherry pie sat untouched, its crust golden, delicate, the filling dark red. No one moved to eat it. No one moved at all. 2 hours later, Taryn was in the cold glass tower of Gould Press HQ. Everything inside looked like an Apple store had a baby with a morgue. White walls, gray tile, black doors, no color, no fingerprints, no mess. She passed a front desk. The security guard barely looked at her until he did. That glance, that tiny flicker of suspicion. Not hate, not fear. Worse, disbelief. Like her presence didn't fit the design scheme, she didn't flinch. But she felt it, like a splinter in the skin. In the boardroom, the man himself waited. Blake Gould, mid-40s, crisp white shirt, glasses with no frames, skin so smooth it looked photoshopped, eyes like parking tickets, blank but aggressive. He didn't stand, just nodded, barely. "Ms. Raines, I appreciate your time." She sat. The table between them looked like it belonged in a crime scene. Smooth, sterile, and cold enough to reflect your doubt back at you. A black pen, a printed contract, and nothing else. "Before we start," she said, and reached into her tote. She pulled out a small foil-wrapped square and slid it across the table. Gould stared at it like she had placed a kitten on his desk. "What's this?" "Cherry pie," she said. "Homemade. I bring it when I have to say something that hurts." Gould blinked once. "That's unconventional." "So is selling your father's life's work to a man who doesn't blink." He leaned back. "This is a numbers game, Ms. Raines. Emotion isn't a metric." She nodded. "That's why you don't taste the ink." Gould's mouth twitched. Maybe a smirk, maybe a tick. She stared him down, then she signed. Pen on paper. Done. But before she stood, she asked, "If I sell you the business, can I stay?" "Not officially, just operational guidance." Gould looked confused. "Why?" "Because you're buying the name. I still remember how the machines sound when they're happy." He didn't respond, but he signed. As she turned to leave, she heard him say, almost to himself. I wonder what the pie tastes like. She didn't answer, but the look in her eyes said, you won't forget it. What happens next changes everything. You do not want to miss what unfolds. Monday, 7:42 a.m. Taryn walked into Gould Press with a lanyard that didn't have her name on it. It read Operational Liaison. A made-up title, no authority, no desk. But Blake signed off on it, probably to feel noble, like he gave the old dog a corner to curl up in. She wasn't stupid. She knew what this was, a formality, a leash, a slow fade into irrelevance. But Taryn had one thing no algorithm could replicate: memory. The memory of her father bent over the old Heidelberg printer at 3 a.m. The memory of jammed paper, ink-stained hands, and the sound of something real being made. This place had none of that. It looked like a bank lobby that got sterilized, not a single paperclip out of line. Machines didn't hum, they whispered. Staff didn't talk, they nodded. And no one made eye contact longer than necessary. Taryn walked past a line of identical cubicles and got a glimpse of herself in the glass. Raincoat damp, curls frizzed, eyes wide with something between fury and fascination. She took a seat near the back. Not that she had a real place to be. And that's when she noticed it. One file left open, on a screen. She wasn't snooping, she just saw. A contract, not hers. Rick's, her old pressman. What is this, she thought. Her name wasn't on it, but the job title? Senior Systems Print Lead. It was his handwriting in the margin. Confirmed Monday, 9 a.m. They hired him? Without telling her? She marched to HR. The woman behind the desk didn't even look up. Blonde bun, pink nails, keyboard clacks like passive-aggressive applause. Hi, I'm Taryn Rains. I just saw a draft contract. Ma'am, unfortunately, I can't disclose anything related to internal staffing. Polite, plastic, programmed. Taryn leaned in. You don't have to disclose, I saw it. The woman sighed like customer service was a personal attack. Again, ma'am, that's confidential. If you have operational concerns, you can file them via the internal portal. Portal, file, protocol. It was like trying to scream into a Tupperware. Taryn left, but the fire had already been lit. Tuesday, 3:15 p.m. She caught Rick in the hallway. Fresh Gould Press polo, fresh attitude. You took it? She asked. He shrugged. Man's gotta eat. You said he was the devil. He pays more than heaven ever did. She stared. So you sell your dignity now? Nah, he said. Just leasing it. That line hit like a slap. But the real slap came from what he said next. Look, he didn't want you here. He took you as a package deal, like office furniture. She couldn't speak. He walked off, whistling. Wednesday, 8:01 a.m. Taryn came in early. Earlier than early. Something wasn't right. She walked the floor. The lights were still off, but one of the machines was humming. Strange. She followed the sound. At the far end of the production hall, the biggest printer was churning out thick packets. Stacks and stacks. Identical. Each marked Intake Restructuring in bold red letters. She pulled one. Her heart dropped. Inside, a full layout of legacy asset closures. Included on the list? Marble Inc., scheduled for full shutdown within 30 days. Staff reassignment plan. Reduce emotional dependency. Quote from internal memo. Owner has been successfully neutralized via symbolic role. Her name, not even mentioned. That pie? That handshake? That title? It was all decoration. She wasn't just being phased out, she was being erased. She stumbled backward like she'd been slapped by the future. And that's when someone spoke. You're not supposed to be in here. Taryn froze. It was a man she hadn't seen before. Tall, young, clipboard in hand, Gould Press logo on the vest. You're part of the legacy asset, right? He said it like she was a paperweight, or a ghost. She didn't answer. He walked past her, grabbed the printouts, and tossed them into a shred bin. These don't concern you. She watched as everything, every page, every truth, was eaten alive by the machine. She left the room without a word. That night, she didn't sleep. She didn't cry either. She sat at her kitchen table staring at her father's old press badge. It still had ink smudges on the back. Her mind wasn't racing. It was planning. Because something was wrong. Not just with her role, not just with the shop, with the system. She saw how it operated now. She saw it swallow people, repackage their work, erase their names, and leave them smiling like it was progress. Taryn wasn't just betrayed. She was activated, and the next day, she wouldn't bring pie. She'd bring something else. This is the climax. Everything you've been waiting for, it's here. Stay with it. Because what she does next changes the entire game. Thursday, 6:59 a.m. She walked in with a box again, but not that box. No pie, no wrapping, no sweet little offering. This one was heavier. Cardboard, beat up, taped in the middle like it had seen things. Inside, memories. Old invoices from Marble Ink. Flyers she printed for the neighborhood block party in '96. A wedding program for a couple that divorced 2 years later. Her dad's notebook with little notes like, "Don't print yellow on yellow again," scribbled in blue ink. It wasn't business, it was history. And Gould wanted it gone. So she brought it here. She dropped the box on the front counter of Gould Press like it was a challenge. A dare. The receptionist blinked. "Can I help you?" "Yeah," Taryn said. "Tell Blake I'm activating my consultant privileges." The woman typed something, blinked again. That's not really... It is now." She didn't wait for permission. She walked straight through the building, like a glitch in the matrix that no one coded for. By 9 a.m., she was sitting in one of the production rooms with a few junior staffers around her. She spoke low, sharp. "Y'all ever wonder why Gould's machines need us to start them up every morning?" They nodded. "Because the system ain't complete without the people, and he forgets that." She opened the box, pulled out an old flyer. This was printed in 2002, on a machine half the size of that one behind you. "You feel that paper?" They passed it around. Thicker, realer. "You know what Gould Press prints now?" she said. "Deals, promises, things people forget." She pulled out another sheet. A church program, a kid's graduation photo, a memorial card. "This ain't product, it's memory." One of the junior operators looked confused. "What are we supposed to do with this?" She smiled. "We remind them." 10:37 a.m. An email went out to all 36 Gould Press offices. No subject line, no name, just one link. A PDF. Inside, a digital copy of everything in Taryn's box, scanned by her, organized by emotion. Every single file had a little note. "Remember when print meant something?" And at the bottom, "Legacy isn't a liability, it's proof. Marble Ink, not dead, just awake." No one expected what happened next, because Gould had built an empire out of forgetting, out of replacing, out of deleting. But now suddenly clients started asking questions. One by one, local nonprofits, churches, community centers, they all called asking why their projects were now being handled by cold scripts and faceless reps. Where did the people go? What happened to Marble Ink? Then something wild happened. One of the junior designers printed the flyer from the PDF, taped it to the front door. Someone took a photo, posted it with the caption, "Real print, real people, real place." By 2 p.m., it had 40,000 likes. By 4 p.m., Marble Ink was trending. And Taryn? She was in the break room sipping stale coffee when Gould burst in. His tie was loose, his shirt unbuttoned at the collar. First time she'd seen him look human. "What is this?" he demanded, phone in hand. "That," she said, "that's what you paid for. Legacy. You made us look outdated." She stood. "No, Blake, you did that when you erased every fingerprint from this place. I just gave people something to hold on to." He laughed, but it cracked. "You don't get to hijack my company's image." "It's not yours, it's the community's. It always was. You just rented it." The room was quiet. He looked at her like a man realizing the chessboard was upside down. And then he said it. "You're fired." She smiled. "You can't fire a consultant, remember? No official role." He stared. She turned, walked out. That evening, she stood outside the old Marble Ink building. The door was locked. But the window still had her father's decal on it. Printed with care, not just ink. A car pulled up, then another, and another. Former clients, neighbors, even Rick showed up, without the polo. No words, just a nod. They didn't need a press, they had a movement. By nightfall, the lights were back on inside. Old machines humming, flyers printing, cherry pie warming in the back. Marble ink wasn't gone. It was reclaimed. Not by investors, not by automation, by memory, by refusal. By one woman who walked into the system with a pie and walked out with a revolution. This story isn't about ink, it's about impact. And sometimes all it takes is someone who refuses to disappear quietly.